All right, everybody, it's 5 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting of the Administration Public Works Committee to order. Can I have a roll call for attendance, please?
Councilmember Newsma.
Here.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Here.
Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Kelly.
She's here.
Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Isles.
Here.
Need one additional person.
All right.
She's here.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait for Councilmember Davis, and then we'll have a quorum, and we can jump in.
Are you prepared to say a few words about the rooftop solar thing? Can I pull it? Okay. I'm going to pull it just so you can talk about it.
Councilmember Harris is online.
Okay. All right, so Councilmember Davis is present, and if we have Councilmember Harris online, I believe we need to take a vote to allow for remote participation. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
All right. We do that as a roll call vote.
Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Recording in progress.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
All right, so that passes. Welcome to the meeting, Councilmember Harris. Our next item is public comment. We've got 4 people signed up for public comment, and I don't see anybody in the Zoom that seems to be set to do public comment. So first up will be Tina Payden, followed by Brenda Greer, Priscilla Giles, and Carlos Sutton. Tina, you have 2 minutes.
Good evening.
All right, never mind. That wasn't intended to.
Oh, okay. Good evening. I'm Tina Payden. I hope that you will deny A13 is Soul and Smoke, and they're requesting money from the 5/5 TIF. That meeting occurred on Thursday, this past Thursday. I was there. There was no discussion about any monies going to Soul and Smoke. And Soul and Smokes received $650,000 grant money, plus they received $9,500 and another money. This is unfair to the people that have businesses that receive no money, and I hope you will deny it. But more importantly, I would like to talk about A20, and I hope that you'll vote no and take it off the agenda and stop this. We need to have some say. I was actually the last class that was in the Family Focus building when it was King Lab and went to school. This is a very important building to the public. We should have some say in it before we end up here in 909 Davis, which we had no say in that, and we should have a say. This is a landmark building, and it should go to the Preservation Committee for a discussion. And even if they sell the building, they should know the regulations and what they're supposed to do with the building, as it is a landmark building. This is very important to the community, to the 5th Ward, and I don't want to see that you strip everything that we have in that community. And I'm here today to blow the whistle.
All right. Thank you, Tina. That brings up Brenda Greer, then Priscilla, then Carlos.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Brenda Greer, and I'm 76 years old. I'll be 77 January the 29th. I grew up in Evanston. I went to Foster School. I attended Family Focus. I attend Fleetwood Jourdain still, and I still, before Family Focus was discontinued as it is now, I was going over there doing things with Miss Joanne and participating. I do hope that this building will be rebuilt, if not worked on, construction done on it to renew it. And I hope that it will stay in the community and not be destroyed. And if so, whatever is put in its place will benefit the community as a whole, because our young people, and myself included, the programs that were at that building, every organization that was there, the youth and seniors have benefited from that program and that building being there. And it's strange that everything within the Evanston community that represents the Black people and things that we advance from is being destroyed. Thank you.
Thank you. That is Priscilla Giles and then Carlos.
Priscilla Giles in Fifth Ward. I am a product of foster school, as my parents were, as my daughter. My grandsons were not able to go because the school had been closed. And I think that the school, I wish you would listen. I wish the city of Evanston and the people who live here would listen. I see no reason for that school to not be occupied as a school, and the building that was built to replace foster school should not have been built in the first place. But since it is there, why not use it for what we asked for in the first place, which was to have a school that would educate the people who are leaving Evanston High School and those older, to teach them trades that they would have a livable wage here in Evanston. And this is, it's a disgrace that Evanston has allowed this to happen. I am against the schools being, I think the schools should be neighborhood schools, and I think Foster should be the Foster school that is a neighborhood school. I'll blow the whistle on the people who are against it.
Thank you, Priscilla. Carlos.
Good evening. I'm addressing A13, and my concerns are as follows. I have a relative who's handicapped at 2146 Ashland, and said that restaurant has brought nothing but concerns for she and her community. One has to deal with ethics. Why is it that someone on the committee still receives money from this committee? Secondly, what about equitable concerns? All she wanted was a handicap sticker, but they denied her in that block. So the business to her is not one that is in any way in lane or in line to receive any kind of approval from this committee. Rejected on its face. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Please add Councilmember Kelly to the roll. And then that brings us to, let's see, we approval of minutes here. Is that our next? Is there a motion on item M1?
Mr. Chair, I will move item M1, approval of the minutes from this committee meeting from November 10th.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, been moved by Councilmember Newsman, second by Councilmember Isles. Any discussion? If not, we can do that on a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. Brings us to the consent calendar. I'd like to remove item A2. Is there any other items that members would like to remove?
A13, 5, and 20.
A5, A20,
A10, please.
A10. All right. Do I have a motion on the consent calendar minus items A2, A5, A13, A10, and A20?
So move.
Second.
All right. Been moved by Councilmember Newsman, second by Councilmember Kelly. Let's do a roll call on this one.
Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
5-0.
All right. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
All right. 6-0. Councilmember Harris, it's late, but you don't have anything you want to remove from the consent agenda that we just passed, do you?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So that brings us to item A2. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I will move item A2, approval of the BMO Harris Amazon credit card activity in the amount of $12,518.87.
I'll second.
All right, moved by Councilmember Nusmo, seconded by Councilmember Isles. Any discussion? Let's do a roll call on this, please.
Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin,
I abstain.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Isles,
Aye.
510.
All right, on a vote of 5 yes, 0
One abst-
no, and 1 abstention, that item passes. That brings us to item A5.
I'll move item A5, the approval of a contract with Ghafari Associates LLC for the, I apologize. Approval of the purchase of 2 pieces of fleet equipment for use in the Evanston Parks and Recreation Department Crisis Alternative Response Evanston Team.
I will second.
All right, moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Nusma. Any discussion? Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. I just pulled this off just to get a better understanding of, I was trying to understand how many, so these look like high, almost like police grade sort of vehicles. And I understand that there's, just to get a better understanding, and how many total cars do we have now assigned to the care team?
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. Sean Cholik, Facilities and Fleet Manager. So yes, these would be police interceptors, which basically are, set up for a number of different types of operations that are similar to what CARE is doing. They would enable us to put in a partition between the front seat and the back seat, just for health and safety of the drivers. They are basically a police type of vehicle, though, and something that we typically repurpose to other uses within the city once they're closer to the end of their life.
Thank you. And are there other vehicles that we're retiring from the care team? And where are
Yes,
those
so
going?
currently they have 2 very old Ford Focuses that are 2013 models, I believe. Those will be going to auction. They're at the end of their useful life. They've experienced a couple issues with recent repairs. They also used to be parking enforcement cars. Once we removed the lighting off of the top of them, we had to silicone the openings, the penetrations in the roof. It's not an ideal fix. It floats us through for a couple years, but the intent was never to keep these Focuses for a long time as care vehicles. And that's why we're proposing these 2 new Explorers.
So it'll be a total of 2 vehicles for the care team?
That's correct.
Okay. So, and I can appreciate the partition, but obviously these are pricey vehicles. This is supposed to be alternative to police response, so I'm just want to understand the need for these vehicles besides perhaps the partition.
Sure.
Why we
So
need to
one of the requirements that the department had asked for, Parks and Rec had requested for the largest amount of cargo space that they could have in an SUV. This would allow them to not only store their gear in the car for their staff members, but it would also allow, when they were doing transports, to pick up passengers along with their belongings and transport them to other locations. So they were looking for the maximum amount of space that they could find in an SUV. And since these SUVs match what we typically carry in the fleet, the parts are readily available in stock in our shop, and our technicians are prepared to work on these and have a full understanding of these types of vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Just, I am concerned about the cost for these for the team that's supposed to be an alternative to police response, but I mean, I'll support it, but I do have concerns about what we're paying for these vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Nusma, just real quick, let me ask a question. So obviously this is the price for the purchase of the vehicles. I assume vehicles for police service require additional upfitting that won't be required for these vehicles.
That is correct. So police vehicles would typically require more expense to upfit them. With these, we're basically talking about the partitions. We're talking about a bike rack that will go on the back of them so that care members can also, transport bikes and also, I guess utilize them if they choose to in the warmer weather. And all of those upfits will be done in-house by fleet mechanics.
Okay. So, I mean, the
No lighting is required as well.
cost of the vehicle is the same, but then once you get into everything that needs to be done to a police vehicle relative to these are less expensive than a police vehicle.
Correct. The only other thing we would put on these would be a different type of logo.
Okay. And I mean, they will look like municipal vehicles, but they will definitely be branded much differently than a police vehicle as well.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The police interceptor, the Ford Police Interceptor, is essentially the same platform as a Ford Explorer.
Yes, that's correct. It's basically a Ford Explorer. There's some
With the cop motor,
differences
the cop tires,
between,
built for hot pursuit.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they do come in an admin package, like more of an office package.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what we're getting here. I
Yeah,
would
so
have
it's
to look
quite
at
an
the details,
upgrade
but
from the Focuses,
yes.
the Foci that they used to use. So I can understand needing more space, but is there something in between that just might be a little bit more cost effective?
We
Like
did
it doesn't
look,
have to have all the the high end police requirements for
right.
speed and safety and all that.
Yeah, we did look at some other options. None of them matched the cargo space that was in this one. So this is kind of what we settled on.
All right, thanks.
And does anybody else have any questions? 'Cause this may be a question for you or Mr. Dorsey, but I assume these vehicles will be used similarly to police vehicles in terms of engine idle time, engine hours, and that's a reason why, like, the more robust police interceptor.
That
of
is
value.
correct. My understanding is he's idle quite a bit also. I can let Mr. Dorsey speak on that a little more about the operations if there's questions about how they're utilized.
Good evening, Jerron Dorsey, Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. So currently, to answer your question, Councilmember News, we do use these vehicles all day, every day. Similar to police, we go to different calls. The primary reason for the extra cargo space is because we carry a lot of supplies that's needed in crisis situation, blankets, water, non-perishable food items, things like that. Currently, right now, transportation of individuals that's in crisis, whether they need to go to the living room or get from one unsafe situation to a safer location, we're unable to do that in the Ford Focuses based off the amount of room that's in the car. And so we leave it up to the discretion of the responders if they feel safe to transport. And at this point, we have decided more often than not to transport individuals, and we have to call police for assistance for transport for those reasons. And so that's kind of currently how we want to use the vehicles, but with the Ford Focuses, we're unable to do that right now.
All right. Are there any other questions? If not, why don't we go ahead and vote? Thank you, Mr. Dorsey.
Thank you.
Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Isles,
Aye.
All right.
6-0.
So that's a 6-0 vote. That brings us to item A10. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I will move item A10, approval of a contract for the Evanston Accessible Solar Program with Wind Free Solar.
I'll second.
All right. Moved by Councilmember Nusma, seconded by Councilmember Isles. Councilmember Nusma.
And if I could just ask staff for a short presentation.
Hello, Administration and Public Works Committee. My name is Kirsten Drehobel-Vega with the Sustainability and Resilience Division. We are advising the approval of a contract with Windfree Solar. This is for the installation of of solar panels on residential buildings, both single family and multifamily. This is specifically for folks who are lower and middle income, who might not be able to afford to install solar on their own. This funding is coming from previous earmark, so 2022 earmark from the Department of Energy. We think that this is a great opportunity. Windfree is an Evanston-based business. They offered very comprehensive rates based on the different systems. Any sort of renewable energy certificate would be retired through the Illinois Shines program. So overall, this is a win for the earth, as well as low and middle income residents in Evanston, as well as going with an Evanston-based business. I can take any questions.
The funding it's federal funding that was
Yes.
earmarked by Senator Durbin
Yes,
a few
that
years
is
ago.
correct.
Do we have the check? Have we cashed the check?
So it is a reimbursement. So the city fronts the money and then gets paid back. This is safe funding, and we have been in communication with the Department of Energy about the security of this funding.
Okay. And looking at the responders to the RFP, there was one that offered a price that was quite a bit lower.
Sure.
If you could speak to that and why they were not selected.
Yes. So I believe you're referring to the Unity Solar Group that had a lower price per watt. They only proposed a 6-year lease to own program, which we felt would be particularly onerous for the homeowner as well as the city. Additionally, Windfree offered more comprehensive rates based on the system size, and were just in general more comprehensive in their proposal. So they are ultimately the firm that we are recommending.
Great. And what's the time frame for these systems to be installed?
Within 2026.
Sometime
Next year, yes.
Sometime next year. Okay. And does the funding go away if we don't meet a deadline, or it's just the funding is available for us and we haven't used it so far?
Sure. So we've been applying for
Okay.
extensions and have been granted so far. Yes,
Right. And what is the process for for a qualifying homeowner to apply?
Sure. So we put out an interest survey already for folks. We're looking at electricity bills for their eligibility, but we will be working with our community development team that works with verifying income levels. They will be a part of our team going forward on this. So this is not something that our team had a ton of experience with, so we're tapping in our colleagues that are very
So the
experienced.
details of that process are still being put together?
Yes.
Once the process is defined, we'll have to make sure it's
Yes,
communicated.
we're going
and
off of the
provided.
area median income, which is standard for our colleagues in this.
And is this only for single-family homes, or would it
No,
also
it's
be
residential or for multifamily
for
as well.
multifamily? Okay.
Yes,
So a small apartment building might also be
that is
eligible.
correct.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Any further discussion? All right, let's vote.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so on a 6-0 vote, that passes, and that brings us to item A13. Is there a motion?
Sure. I'll move item A13, approval of Soul and Smoke Restaurant year-round sidewalk cafe layout and permanent fixtures.
Seconded.
Moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make sure what you're moving is just approving the sidewalk cafe, and you're not approving funding.
Yeah, so I was going to recommend that we move this to council without the funding. Does that get amended then to remove the funding?
Yeah, do we have to make an
Because I
amendment to
understand
that?
it's both, we're approving use of a public way for a patio. And then the second piece of that is funding up to 25,000. So
Yeah, I would be on board with approving the use, but not approving funding. If you want to make the motion more clear to
Okay, so I'd like
specify.
to move this forward amended to exclude the funding portion.
I second that.
Okay, so Councilmember Kelly's amendment is to exclude the funding, and that has been seconded by Councilmember Davis. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Councilmember Davis, I'm going to reset all the lights. If anybody wants to talk about the amendment, hit your light. All right. So to be clear, this is to amend this to exclude the funding. And I think we can vote on that amendment.
Okay, Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Isles,
Aye.
6-0.
All right. So the amendment passes 6-0. Now, is there any discussion on the amended item? All right. Seeing none, this is a vote on item A13 as amended.
Councilmember Nusma, Councilmember Suffredin,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Isles,
Aye.
6-0.
Okay. So item A13 as amended passes on a 6-0 vote. That brings us to item A20.
Mr. Chair, I will move item A20, which is Resolution 68R25, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Family Focus for its move from the 2010 Dewey location to 1601 to 1607 Simpson Street, along with a disposition plan for the existing building.
I'll second.
Okay. Moved by Councilmember Nusma, seconded by Councilmember Isles. Councilmember Davis.
Do we have someone who can represent? Well, I guess my question is, how much difficulty do we anticipate a potential buyer of this property having with Preservation Commission?
Good evening, members of the APW committee. Sarah Flax, Community Development Director. We don't anticipate having problems with the Preservation Commission. The Preservation Commission was involved in landmarking the property, and we're recommending that as part of the disposition effort, we do a request for expression of interest, similar to what we did with the Harley Clark property, specifically to help deal with the preservation-related issues and also to get interest from potential developers who work in that environment very much as we did with the Harley Clark. That's one of the things that I think is key to this recommendation because it respects that.
Okay. And so I guess what I'm also wondering is, given that it is landmarked, is there anything that we can do to encourage more interest and make sure that the landmarking is not discouraging people or organizations from expressing interest?
Yes, because we work with the Illinois Historic Preservation agencies specifically, and as with Harley Clark, they'll reach out to their whole network. So it really broadens the number of organizations that are going to be aware of the opportunity and aware of the requirements. Family Focus building is somewhat different from the Harley Clark building because it has less architectural significance, if you will, but a great deal of cultural significance. And that was its landmarking. And so we would work out and provide options that would be acceptable to the Preservation Commission, and because that would honor its preservation status, that would really enable developers interested in it to know what they can and can't do. It would also potentially open up funding sources for them that your average developer looking at a property wouldn't know about. For example, the federal historic preservation dollars generally look for an income generating use, because they know that ultimately you have to have income to keep properties functioning. And one of the things, this property is zoned R4, residential, either of the property overall or over some other use could be eligible. That's just one example of how this could be worked out.
Okay, and so how easy, how much, okay, well, could you give a gauge on based on how much interest, like, so for Harley Clark, we ended up only getting like, what, 2 or 3 projects people, organizations that were interested in the inn. Do we anticipate a similar situation based on our parameters here?
You know, I'm not sure I can really make an estimate of that, because it is a very different property, but I think this is a way we will get potential developers who would not just, if it were just put on the general market, would not even be aware of it.
Okay.
But would be interested.
Because, so basically, like, what I'm kind of getting at is that we have just selling it, just carte blanche with no restrictions whatsoever. Then we have the expression of interest that we have here. And I can't remember what we call the third thing that's even more restrictive. And so I guess I'm wondering, is what options do we have to get closer to a market disposition where we're just selling it and where we are now? And like, what trade-offs have we made in bridging the gap between the two, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually think that we're not making trade-offs really, because the historic preservation status will put certain limits, but it
Not
also
with
gives
regards to the historic preservation, but just like the difficulty in, like, I guess the encumbrances that we're putting or the requirements that we're putting on it or that come with this property innately that might deter people from purchasing it compared to another property that's being sold on the open market by a private seller.
That's just based on the nature of the property. I mean, it does have restrictions, so I can't really say how many more or fewer people might be interested. But Councilmember Burns has worked a great deal with Family Focus. I have Dottie Johnson here, who is their chief financial officer, and we've got people online. And they welcome this kind of assistance, because one of the things they were finding is that, you know, general brokers are not going to know how to navigate this part of the world, and that means they could just run into situations where they're not informing people enough about what they can and can't do with the property or what the historic significance is, and that can get into a more difficult situation where people are making proposals based on stuff that really wouldn't be welcomed by the Preservation Commission or the community.
Okay, that's helpful context. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Newsome, followed by Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that everybody understands what we're exactly proposing here. And I'm going to start by making it clear that the city does not own this building. Is that correct?
Correct. It is not. We do not own it, nor should we own it. It is not our property and shouldn't become it.
Right. But the city, I think it's safe to say, understands the importance of not really the building, but all the activity that has gone on in that building, you know, under the umbrella of Family Focus, to our community, which is why our previous council, you know, committed $3 million of federal ARPA money to Family Focus to, at that point, help them upgrade and restore the building into you know, a more functional space. As it turns out, that initiative cost way more than the $3 million that we were able to contribute to the cause. And my understanding is the total cost would be 15, 20, 25, who knows exactly how much money, but significantly more than Family Focus is able to come up with. Therefore, they have relocated all of the operations from that building. There's nothing happening in that building right now.
Correct.
It's happening on Simpson Street.
Correct.
They've spent a little bit of the money that we gave them, you know, starting to renovate the building. But how much was that, ballpark?
All of it, dollars in so far is just over 800,000, and that was actually doing a great deal of exploration with architects, with all kinds of planning. The goal was to make it, in essence, a nonprofit hub. I think that's an accurate description.
Right. That's off the table now.
That's
So
off the table. It's economically
how do we
infeasible.
Move forward is the question, and I think the fact that council had previously committed $3 million to the operations of Family Focus indicates the city's support of the organization. And rather than spending the rest of that money to upgrade the facility for Family Focus to use, we will use some of that money to help them relocate.
Correct.
And then use some of our internal resources, since we've just been through a similar process with Harley Clark, to help them figure out how to sell that building to somebody else who can use their money, along with some historic preservation tax credits, to renovate the building into whatever it's going to be next.
Correct.
And so my understanding is that will take some of our staff time, staff resources, to which there is a cost, but we won't be writing a check for that. When the building is ultimately sold to the next owner, we can recoup whatever the cost of our internal services will have been.
Correct. And we are also, Family Focus has requested financial support to keep the building functional during this time, because that's important. And that we've provided a very detailed estimated budget for a 3-year period, which we hopefully will not take anywhere near 3 years, but we're being conservative.
Right.
Then the disposition, at the time of disposition, we would work out an agreement on what
Right.
the city would be
Now,
repaid for.
Theoretically, we could say, sorry, city's out of it, Family Focus, go ahead and sell the building. And what does that scenario look like from Family Focus's perspective?
Well,
what is how might the outcome be different?
Well, it would potentially have them dealing with potentially frustrated buyers who don't understand the restrictions or the requirements of the historic preservation aspect of it, the historic nature of the property, which would make it less appealing. And also, it wouldn't necessarily, as I say, loop in organizations like Celadon was attracted by the process we used for Harley Clark.
Right. So what might be an impediment, or what is in fact an impediment to run-of-the-mill developers, is actually an attribute for companies that work in that space.
Yes.
With historic preservation. So
correct.
That's kind of a specialized thing.
It
We
is.
can help them through that process with our internal resources, and essentially that's what we're proposing.
Correct.
They could hire a consultant to do it.
And it's hard to get consultants for this kind of
Yeah.
thing.
But let's keep it in house with resources that we know and trust. So, okay, thank you,
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. I did just want to point that out, that the Harley Clark was our public property versus this is private property, so it's not exactly apples to apples. Can you just give, I think it's a little confusing, the whole package of what we're voting on here. So we're voting to have, if you could just walk, I think there's about 3 different items that we're voting on.
Sure. There are, when we, our interagency agreement with Family Focus, we asked them to say what they were going to do. The important thing, Family Focus is a longtime social service agency that is very important in the 5th Ward, and to retain their services here, we said either tell us what you need to do if you can, make the facility usable, or plan a move or whatever to stay in the city continuing your services. That was one of the things they were to respond. Then the other was we had to figure out when we pulled the plug, if you would put it that way, on the rehab plan for a social services hub. At that point, Family Focus had billed us a certain amount. We'd paid them a certain amount, but there was about $257,000 that they had incurred that we had not yet paid them. And because that was money expended under the requirements of what they were working on. They're asking for reimbursement for that, and also for the move to the new facility. So the unpaid billing for their work on the to redevelop the property is $257,142. Their costs for the move to their current facility is $278,000. So those are the specific costs that, in the agreement as proposed, would be paid to Family Focus within 30 days. The maintenance of the property is an up to 3-year estimate, and that is the $451,410, and there is a very detailed spreadsheet of the costs. We actually worked with our facilities people. They looked at those costs, and they also, we estimated that if we took over the management, it would cost at least 20% more. Plus, there are other complications. Family Focus has an insurance policy, and there are certain requirements of that insurance policy. Family Focus already has a security system that the cameras go to their people. Changing all of that would be costly, and we do not have the staff to take over that kind of responsibility. Sean and his group are already overstretched. So Family Focus has requested financial support for these costs that would be repaid when the property is sold.
So the total amount, the ask, I see, we have 278, 278,000, 257,000, 519,000, and 441.
The grand total, if everything took 3 years, is $1,601,953.
So that's what we'll be voting on tonight, is the allocation of up to that amount of money.
Up to that amount.
Okay. And in addition to voting to allocate $1.6 million, we're also voting on entering into an agreement. Besides giving the money, it's entering into agreement that we will take on the responsibility of issuing the REI.
Right.
So it's those two things. So it's $1.6
Yes.
million. And okay. And can you just explain, just for the public, because I know there was some confusion, and maybe, I might feel more comfortable just a neutral vote, and when Bobby's here too, I'm sure he'd like to explain it, moving this forward with neutral vote, just because I have a lot of questions still. Would that, folks would be amenable to that? I think there's some questions about just the returning of the money to the water fund, and how that works, because it says $3 million in ARPA here, but really it's $500,000.
There were 2 interagency agreements that were done at the end of last year, and this was when Treasury, I think it was in about October of last year, said, okay, by the end of the year you have to have all your ARPA funds entered into their portal with how we expect to spend them. And after that, there wouldn't be a whole lot of changes. Well, we didn't want to leave this money that we knew that was not going to be spent on rehabbing that facility there. So what we did was and this went to City Council, these 2 interagency agreements, at the first meeting in January of this year. And it's just a flipping out sources. So we put the ARPA, it's a figurative thing, obviously, it's on paper, into the water fund, and that money was expended on water projects that are ARPA eligible, so that took care of that responsibility. I think it also reduced the amount of bonding we had to do.
Yes.
Because it was significantly more than had been ARPA committed to projects. Then that means the equivalent amount of money is sitting in the water fund unencumbered technically. And so that's the money we're talking about using for this with Family Focus now. And that would leave just shy of $1.4 million that we're not making any, I'm certainly not making any proposal on how that should be used. That's sitting in the water fund.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. So I would like to just move that we, if that's okay, just rather than continue with more questions, move this forward with a neutral.
All right, Alex, does that require a motion? Do we have to engineer a tie vote? How do we do that?
Yeah, if you want to do a motion to do that, I think that'd be appropriate.
Okay, so I'd just like to move this forward with a neutral vote.
Is there a second? All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Kelly, seconded by Councilmember Harris. Do we have to vote on this now? All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Suffredin.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
All right, on 6-0 vote, this will move forward to council with a neutral recommendation. I believe that is the end of everything. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.
So moved.
All right. So why don't we start council at 5:50?